Nice. Oh, I'm gonna see you've come back. Wasn't too intense the last time. Good, because we're about to get into it. So let's go. I like what you did here. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now. We're gonna start by optimizing this. So take out this Babel polyfill. Go into the webpack config, and where it says .env right here, inside the array, go ahead and make a new object, and we're gonna do targets. Okay. And then we type node, and then put in strings current. All right, save that. And then over here in your Babel RC, okay, same thing. We need to put this in an array though. Okay, and then open the object like so. And then we'll do, because it's JSON, remember you gotta do all of your quotes. Node current. Bam. All right. Start your server again. Should see an error and then it'll rebuild, and we should be good. I don't know, that's funky. Anyways, let's go fix that error right there. Okay. Yeah, we look good. All right. Cool. So actually, let's go ahead and stop the server. We need to add a few things. We need to add Apollo server Koa, GraphQL, and GraphQL tools. I think that'll do it for now. Add those. All right. Now, there we go. Start it back up. Looks good. We can go ahead and delete this sum.js. And then in your tests, go ahead and delete this one too. We're connected. Okay. We're good. We're up and running. Let's start adding our GraphQL in. So go into your source folder, routes, add a new file. GraphQL router is what we'll call it. Okay. And import router from co-router. Excuse me. And then make a new router. Okay. And then export default router.routes. Okay, that's all the methods that this singleton has on it, and then we're gonna pass it back through. So we're gonna go into our index editor right here. We're gonna import GraphQL from, you guessed it, GraphQL router. All right. You can keep this if you want to. You don't need to. I'm not going to. And we're gonna make a new router as well, called API. Forget your equals. Okay, and then API.use GraphQL. All right, and then we're gonna say router.use /API like that, and we're gonna say API.routes. Maybe there must be a function.boolean. See what happens when you try to go fast. API.use, API.use, API.routes, export default router. So what's going on here? Let's just try to add a route real quick. That looks like it fixed it. Okay. So that's just an error because we don't have anything in here yet, which don't worry, we're going to do that right now. So import GraphQL Koa and graphical Koa. Okay, GraphQL and graphical from Apollo server Koa. Okay, and then we're going to do our get route, which is going to be to graphical. All right, and then we're going to pass that middleware on the graphical one, and it takes an object. Okay, see that? We can open it. You'll see a little bit later. We'll do async and CTX when we need to get access to our content. But we need to pass the endpoint URL for GraphQL, which is actually going to be API/GraphQL now, where the API endpoint is going to be, because we're going to do router.post/GraphQL. Right, and this takes the GraphQL COA function or middleware, and then we pass an object into it as well, and then we need to pass a schema into it. Okay, now we're going to get error, so we need to create this, and we're going to say API, go up one level, API, actually we can just do that because it's going to be a module. Okay, schema. Alright, so, whoa, where's this? Can't find that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and make a new folder. Okay, and 2 new folders in there. One's going to be types, one's going to be resolvers. We're going to not have that in the types folder. Put an index.js in each one of those. And in the API, actually go ahead and add an index.js as well. That's going to be our schema file. Okay, and then in here, we're going to import make executable schema from GraphQL tools. And then we're going to export default make executable schema. It's an object as well. Okay, new line. And we're going to pass our types and our resolvers. Okay, now we need to import those. Setup one, actually, types. Do the same thing for the resolvers. Okay. Let's provide type Fs. Okay, so inside types now, we're going to need to make our base schema. Okay, let's close some of these up real quick. All right. Okay, so actually we don't need to do resolvers yet. We just need them types. All right. Maybe we don't want to call that types. What do we want to call that? Maybe we want to call it something like types. Okay. Well, that's what we're going to do. All right. So we need to do a couple things here. We need to export. Let's just go ahead and take a look for the boilerplate. Okay, we're going to recreate that. So we want to make a new const called root schema. And it's going to be an array, a template literal array. Okay, and then export default. I believe it's just, yep, okay. So we're actually going to do our spread operator, okay, and export that, because this is what GraphQL is going to need to parse. Okay, so we're going to do our hello world stuff. Okay, so we're going to do a hello mutation or a type mutation, and we're going to put hello world, and it's going to be a string. Okay, and we're going to do a query. Okay, and it's going to be a string as well. And then we're going to do a type of schema with a lowercase s, and we're going to do our query as query. Okay, and our mutation as mutation. Like that. Okay, type schema, query, query, mutation, mutation. Alright, so now in our resolvers, we're going to do this. We're going to import merge from Lodash. And then you're probably going to need to add it. Alright. We're going to export default merge. Alright. And we're going to do our first resolvers. We'll just do it right here, right now, okay? Equals. We're going to do query and mutation. Okay, so we have a hello world. And this is, the resolvers are how you pull back the data for your types, right? So we're going to do, I always do query, then mutation, just a habit of mine. Let's go and clear these errors up real quick, okay? Trailing comma, GraphQL router, okay. Trailing comma right there, comma dangle. Okay, new line required but not found. Alright, root resolvers assigned value. We're going to get some errors because of that I just did. Seems to be it. Okay. So this gets 4 arguments, okay, the resolvers. It gets, has a parent value we call root. We'll have arguments, there's context, and then info. Alright. For now, what we're going to do is just return a string that says hello world query. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for mutation, honestly, because this is just getting it connected. Mutation. Alright, and then we're going to throw the root resolvers in here. And let's go ahead and do this. Actually, this is going to get pretty redundant in here. So I'm going to show you a cool way you can do this with ESLint at the top of the file. If you don't want them to show up at all, instead of writing that out a million times, we'll just say ESLint, no one used vars, 0. Bam. Okay, so now expected new line after, okay, unexpected, because there's only one in there right now. Okay, alright, must provide type defs. Okay. So let's figure out what's going on. What did I mess up? So close these, close these, close these. Okay, index. So types. This needs to be type defs. Type defs. Okay, that's good. Query hello world defining resolvers but not in schema. Hello world. Okay, what did I type in here? That means that in the resolvers I have hello world defined, but not in the schema, which this is the schema. And I have hello world. Okay, so with all that, just a little recap what we did. We added a new route handler, okay, and made an API route on our main router, which we're exporting. And then we added this GraphQL router, which we are now making a GET request to graphical, which gives us access to a graphical interface, which we'll go look at in a second. And this is where our post is going to GraphQL, which takes a schema right here. And you see ES6, 7, whatever you want to call it. That's why this is expanding. We're getting it from the API folder, which is just this index module. And that's how the module pattern works. Okay, but lo and behold, is our server running? Yes, it is. Let's go open it up. We're at 3000 API/graphical. Whoa, heyo. We got a history. Don't pay attention to mine. Prettify button. We got our living documentation. And what do we got in here? We got a hello world query and a hello world mutation. Let's give them a shot. That's hello world. Oh, look at that. How about mutation? Bam. Hello world mutation. It's beautiful once you see it. Alright, let's go ahead and stop server, clear. Let's go ahead and get all. Get commit message would be add GraphQL and graphical. Right? Okay, well, so now we wanted to do that test driven. So we're going to actually just start building out the auth. Okay? And we'll do that test driven. Yay! So I'll make a new full file called resolvers.js. Alright? And this is going to be our test file. So we're going to need to do a little setup here in a minute for our server. But let's go ahead and try and decide what would be the best way to go. Resolver. Let's go ahead. Let's make a new file because we're going to have a user. So user type. Okay. And here, this is really great. Export default template string. Okay. Make sure you got your new line at the end of the file. Let's go ahead and just do this. Let's just go for it, man. We're going to define our types. And then we're going to build things out slowly. And then we'll add the test when it's time. Okay, so we're going to say type user. Right? Has an ID. That is a string. Has we'll say user, let's say email, which is a string. They have username, which is a string, and required. All those are required. And then token, which is a string and not required. All right. This is great. Watch this. Okay. So then in here, we're going to import our user type. Okay. And then you don't have to do anything here except for, well, all right, let's do this now. We're going to get rid of our hello world stuff. I'm going through this kind of quick because you can pause it and stuff and rewind and everything. And I want to get a lot covered here. So we're going to delete both those. And our first query is going to be the me query. All right, which is going to return a user. Okay, and it's not defined right now. Oh, we have an error. Expected name, and found this, which is because of this. Okay, so let's get. Well, you can't get rid of it, but let's go ahead and just set up our resolvers right now. Okay. So we're gonna make a comment. We're gonna have three mutations, right, in one query. So let's go ahead and just give ourselves a note for this query. Current user, current authenticated user. Okay, and then we'll do. We need to register new user. And then we'll go register. Let's call it that. Returns a user. All right. Takes 3 arguments. Takes an email, which is a string. Takes a username. Username, which is a string. And a password, obviously, which is a string. All right, now we got rid of that one error, but now we're getting type user not found in document, even though it's right there, but the deal is anytime we import a new type, we have to export it, all of them. So you see root schema is being spread operated out to export all of these. And we're referencing user right here as the return type. So we need to actually go ahead and like this. Okay, see that? And we're missing trailing comma, third schema. We got a couple errors to deal with, no worries. So I'm missing trailing comma, types index.js. Where's my dangle comma? That was it right there, right here. Okay, we got rid of that one. Query hello world defining resolvers but not in schema. Okay, so now we got these defining the resolvers but not in the schema. So now we're gonna do this. We're gonna say query me. Actually, we're not gonna do that. Now what we're gonna do is go ahead and break this out into modular resolvers. Okay, so we're gonna import auth resolvers. Okay, from auth resolvers. Okay, make a new file. All right, and then go ahead and export default open object. All right, new line. We're gonna do query. Okay, and then mutation. All right, put those errors up. So now let's go ahead and pass in. Right now it's just going to be the auth resolver, so we don't want to get that error. Bam. Console's looking green. Let's go look at graphical. So those should be gone now. We have our me query, which is going to return a user, like we defined. See? Current authenticated user. Nice little message. That's what the hashtag does on top of your query. Okay. Any mutations? Yeah, registers new user. And there's your arguments passed in right there. Okay. Here's how you tell what arguments you want to give that mutation and what it's going to return, and it has to return something. It can't return null. So we're going to make sure we do that whenever we can. And that's why in the types, though, when you define what the user type is, we put a token on here because the user type can return a token in instances which we're going to have right now for an auth flow, but it doesn't always need to. You know. Okay. So just to recap, right? We actually went and filled in. We're making our schema modular, right? So here's our whole schema getting exported, our types. We're starting to break it out. So here's our user type being defined and then plugged in right here. We pull it in. It's being used right here as a return, so we're going to export it as well. So anytime we make a new type, okay, we need to make sure that we come into the index and that we, when we reference it in our mutations or our queries, that we also make sure we export it. If it gets big like this, make sure that we export it in an array and spread it out, because it has to be singular strings or an array of strings. That's the caveat. Okay. So let's go ahead and we need to finish adding. So we have our auth resolvers. We're gonna have a me query, which is going to be root args context info. Okay, and then we're gonna do our fancy little arrow function here. And we're gonna make an auth service. Okay. Actually, with this one, here's the beautiful thing. We're gonna have a user on the context, so we're gonna pull that off like this. Okay. And then we're gonna just return a context, or we're just gonna return a user. All right. And the beautiful thing here is with context in GraphQL, which you're getting more and more familiar with. We're going to end up pulling this out into an async arrow function in here. So why don't we just go ahead and do that right now, because we're going to pass context down like this. Okay, and context is what goes down to all the resolvers. So go ahead and back this up. You don't have to do it all the way like that. I just hate when I lose, you know. You know what I'm trying to say. Okay, so in here we're going to say async function ctx. Jeez, ctx. All right, open that up. Object, bam, bring on a new line. So we're going to return schema this time. We're going to return an object. Okay. Schema is on the same line. Alright, and then we're going to say context. And we're going to say, we're going to pull our users off state. Okay, equals ctx dot state. And you'll see where this comes from soon enough. Okay, we're going to end up placing our authenticated users on this ctx context, is what it's called from Koa actually as well. We're going to pull them off the state and putting them on here if we have one. So if we have a user, we're going to use a ternary here. We're going to place the user on the context with the user key. So like ES6, ES7, this will set the key and value properties. Okay. Otherwise, we're just going to set an empty object. Don't forget your comma dangle. Missing semicolon. Where am I missing semicolon? GraphQL router. Jeez. Okay, right here. Right there. Okay, info is defined but never used. We're going to do the same thing that I showed you up here because these files will get bigger. So JavaScript comment, ESLint, no used bars, 0. There we go. We look green, baby. So right now, if we go try to, right, we got nothing. Can't return no. Oops, I just completely quit out of that. Okay, that's okay. Wasn't important. All right, so the mutations then we're gonna have register. Log in and log out. And when you guessed it, they're all gonna get those same arguments. So root, args, context, info. Alright, arrows. Alright, and we're going to reference the auth service that we're going to make. Alright, so this one is going to be register, log in. Alright, and log out, which is actually just going to here I can't quite remember authors. Yeah, we don't need to do a logout one for this. I'll explain why. Okay, anyways, register log in. Alright, auth service is not defined, so let's go ahead and do what we do. Import auth service from, we're gonna go up 1, up 2, and then we're gonna go into services, which does not exist yet, and then we're gonna pull auth. Okay, so make a new folder. Services. Okay, and then in there we're going to do auth. Okay, and then we're getting this error because I defined register but not login. So let's just go ahead and define our other types too. Okay, so just get used to typing it all. All right, logs in. User. All right, log in. I only break them on new lines if it's 3 or more. So for here, it's just going to be username. Have to provide a username. Have to provide a password. That returns a user. All right, there it is. We got them all defined. No more errors, unable to resolve. Okay, so those are just old errors. If that ever bothers you, you can just restart, or Control C, clear, and then go back and do that. Okay. So we got everything defined. We got our context being set if there is going to be a user on state, which currently there's not going to be. So we're going to go ahead and go set up all this middleware as well and everything. But that's GraphQL set up for now. We're not going to build out the auth resolver or service yet. And here we're actually going to do this. We're going to pass args in here. args in here and args in here, okay? Which will then, when we make our service, will make use of the information we're passing in. All right, but that's all set up for now. And then there you see we're importing those in. So what's going to happen is everything's going to end up being put in a query mutation once they get merged. All right, and all the resolvers. But that'll help keep them all into the same place. That's why we're defining them all in the same schema definition right here. It's going to get pretty long, but it's very modular at the same time. Okay, we can start getting into, I already can tell you we're going to need a new folder, and we're going to call this the library, and we're going to put a utils function in there. Okay, so nothing yet. We're going to just collect ourselves to see where we're at. So we currently are going to start by trying to get the me to work, but that can only work if we have a user on the context, which we can hard code right now if we wanted to, but we don't want to. I'm not going to just do all that. Let's just get into testing. So we're going to set the server up for testing, okay? Or the tests rather with the server. So go into the resolvers and import start server. Actually, let's call it, what did I do in the boilerplate? What did I call it? What am I doing? Okay, we called it start server. All right. Okay, start server. That's up one. Actually, yeah, it's up one. Source. Start server. All right, then we're gonna need Axios. Which is gonna complain. Put that above. So we need Axios. We're gonna need our config file. Config. All right. So first we need to set our process, our node environment, mode, to test. Okay, and then we're going to say our root URL equals http /localhost primary 3000 /API /GraphQL. All right. And then we're going to do a setup. So we already have access to the jest environment, so we're going to write a before all function here. Okay, and an after all function. All right, and we're going to pass async to both of these because we're going to want to do some asynchronous actions. All right, so before all, we want to wait for the server to start and be listening, right? And the reason that we're actually gonna, I want to do this. We're gonna say let server, because we want to be able to grab that server reference right there. All right, so it starts at here. That gives us our server, so that then down here what we can do is call server.close. Actually, this has a callback done that can be passed in, and we can pass this in this done callback. We want to make sure that we're creating a state, right? We're testing, and we're going to create all this state, and we're going to make a big mess. So we got to clean up our mess. That's how Kent C. Dodds said it once from a video I watched. We're going to make a bunch of state in here, so we want to make sure when we create this state that we're also taking care of our mess. Okay? So let's just see if that worked. Okay, we're going to just say describe API test just to make sure we're still connected here with Jest. All right. and then I'm going to say result equals 2, okay, and then I'm going to say expect result dot to be 2, okay. I want to make sure this came in here. We'll find it. We'll see it. We'll see. It'll tell us if the server's listening, and the tests will close if it works. So let's just try it. Here's a little neat thing for development too. We can put the test into watch mode. I think I mentioned this before, but it's a good way to do it. All right. So cannot read client of undefined export default. I wonder what that is about. Alright, see, I did it there too. Okay. Anyways. Let me make sure that I have the right databases. Oh yeah, we're gonna need to come fill this out too. Okay, good. I'm glad I have a user seed already even. Okay, we didn't make it. Alright, config, connection file, demo app. Do I have those databases? Yeah. Okay, well, let's try to figure out what's going on. What is this? What is this on the screen right here? Get off of my screen. Uh-oh. Well, that's going to be stuck. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, you know what? I have a suspicion that maybe we need to go ahead and it might be the database pool. So it's config dot db dot destroy, and that should delete the pools. I think maybe it's probably best to do that. Yeah, I'll give this an await too. Let's try that. Let's see if that does anything. I don't know. Can't read property client of undefined. Where's this config going? Environment, process.env.node.env or development. Huh. Process.env. No, that's right. Process, yeah. What's going on? This is fun debugging. Oh my goodness. I can't believe it's doing that. Okay. Can't read property client. Fine, let's see what that is. I mean, we know what it is. It's saying we don't know which one to use here. Demo app test. Oh, I got 3 developments. That's why. Okay. So we need a test, a development, and a production. There it is. Test, development, production, which I actually honestly like my development first. Whatever you want to do. Space these out a little bit. Okay. Let's hope that was the problem. I have a good feeling that it was. There we go. Okay. Now we got that at least. Okay. So now it says it expects. Okay, so we need to test primary. Alright, it's alright, we'll get there. Okay, we need to test. Just do this for now. Okay. Can't have a describe without a test block in it. You can nest describes in each other, but you can't just arbitrarily expect. There we go. Alright. So we're on watch now. Let's make sure that the server closes if we just run test. There we go. Alright. You can see it starts the server, and then after I'll show you maybe what happens if we don't destroy the database connection, okay? If it does actually have a problem, but I can tell you to run through once at least. Yeah, see, now it's holding right here, not exiting. This drove me nuts for a long time and figured out, oh, I had to destroy the connection to the database because it has those pools, and that's what the connection pool stays open if you don't close it. Then it can cause fucking nightmare. Bam, see that? Destroyed it. Okay, so that's our tests configuration setup right there, basically. We're gonna go ahead and once we set up our seeds and migrations, we'll come in here and add a couple other things. Okay, so we're gonna want to do, I guess, our first. I guess what do we want to test? So we're gonna do this. We're gonna get rid of these. Describe. All right, and we're gonna do API. All right, and then in here we're gonna do describe, and let's do auth resolvers. Okay, and then in here, yes, we're going to describe. Let's go ahead and do the register mutation. Okay. And we want to test that it registers a new user. Let's go ahead and do this. You can even do. I like doing this where you could develop it early and it fails. It's all about red-green refactor, anyways. And it gets you used to diving through. Right now, it's passing because we don't have any conditions. So there's a few things I like to do. So here's how I like to set it up. So I'm gonna grab my expected props that I expect to come back from this user object, which right now we know for signing up we're gonna want an ID. Email coming back, a username for the created user, and a token. Okay, and then we're gonna make a call, which we'll call response. We're gonna use a wait again, so right here we need to make this asynchronous. Okay, and then we're gonna await axios.post to our root URL. And we're going to open that object up. Okay. I like to give myself some space. So inside the response, though, we need to do a couple of things here. So this is going to be our query. So we want to write our query out, right? And here's the query we're going to test in a temporal literal. We're also going to want variables, potentially, which, yeah, we're logging in. So we're going to need variables. Or we're registering, so we're going to need variables. And we know that we had a mutation. We'll call this just register. All right, and then we need to make our variables. So we need email, which is going to be a string. username, which is going to be a string, and then pass, which is going to be a string, right? And then we call our register, and we're going to say email is email, username is username, password is password. Alright. Alright. Then when we get this user back, we want the ID, the email, the username, and the token. Because we're going to want to grab that token that's going to come back when we build in the token auth and put it into local storage. Right? And then so for right now, I want to make a user. Creating a new user here. So we need an email. Max power at email.com, and then username is going to be max, password is password 123. Right? Okay, so down here we're actually just going to plug in that user. Well, look at that, logging out that it made our post already. See how fast the test suite works? This is just a thing with Axios, though. They have another redundant data object that every response comes back on. So we'll do ourselves a favor and we'll pull data off of response.data. Another object that comes back from this actually would be errors. So if we ever need to troubleshoot anything, we're going to go look at errors instead of data if there's no data. I don't like keeping both around, though. Okay. But what I do like to do is first just log that we're getting data back in our tests before we start writing our expectations and our expects, because then we can also why don't I just show you errors right now. Let's see what it says. Auth to default register is not a function. Alright, so in those resolvers, with this mutation, you can see it actually hit the mutation, and register is not a function, so we don't have our service set up yet. So that's cool. That's connected. All right. So this is a good time to go make our service. All right, but we're gonna green test, so we want it to fail actually. So let's go ahead and we'll take those expected props, all right, and map over them. Let's just do for each key in there, okay? And then we expect that we're going to use EX6 stuff here. So object.keys, that data object is going to have the mutation name on there, so it'll be register. This will make an array of the key value properties that are on that register model. We want it to contain, check and see if it contains the key that we passed in expected props. And there we go. Now we got a failing test. Okay. This is going to get really annoying. So let's go do this. Let's say if process env.node env is not equal to test. We'll use a logger. There we go. Got rid of those. It would be so many. It would pile up. Okay. Bam. All right. Let's quit out of this for a second. We're gonna have to go set some stuff up. But we're in a good place. We're getting to a good place. Okay. Close that. Close that. Close that. Services. All right. Off. Okay. So export default will be an object. Okay. And then on there we're going to have an asynchronous function that we're going to call register. Okay. And do this one at a time. And we're going to take our args and we're going to log them out. Okay. And let's actually just start server back up. Or why don't we just keep it in the test mode? What am I doing? See if we got any arguments logged out. Here we go. We got arguments logged out from the test coming in. Nice. Okay, so we want to make a new user and insert them in the database. That's our goal right now. So we want to grab args. I guess we could say we want to create new user. We need to check if user exists first. We could say, how about username? We need to check for the email too. Okay, check if email exists, check if username exists. Otherwise, create a new user. Alright. Then we need to generate a job for user. And then we need to send user back to live. Okay. So we got our args coming in here. So let's do the first thing. Let's go ahead and we're gonna destructure these arguments. So we're gonna say username, email, and password off of the arguments. All right, let's make sure we're still getting those. All right, boom, boom, boom. Okay, got them all. All right, so we got our arguments actually, so we don't need to do that in here. We're gonna check if the user exists though, so we need access to the database. So we need to import config from config right there. Nifty. Okay, and we're gonna say const user equals await because this is asynchronous. Config db users where username, the first one, right? So if the user does exist, we know that we need to throw a new error. Username already, we'll just say username taken. Okay. We do need to do the same exact thing for the email. So this one, I will say, you know, okay. So let's just do this. Okay, email, sorry. Email first, okay. Let's say email taken. So we'll call that one email. Okay, there we go. All right. If we get past these points, how we just did that. Okay. Primary. All right. Otherwise, we're gonna go ahead and just do new user equals await config.db users insert. Okay, this is just, we're going to be returning everything from that. I like to do sandwich code, so I already know we want to send the user back. So I'm going to actually call this result, and then I'm going to return the first result because it comes back as an array. So I'm going to return the first result on the array, which is the new user from result. Okay, and then we're going to do this. We need to make a new ID, which is going to be a UUID. So we're going to call that function. We don't have it yet. We need to add that. And then we're going to pass email, username, password. Okay. But this is going to cause a big headache because wait a minute. Now all of a sudden we're passing a plain text password. There's a lot that actually needs to be handled within this, right? This could be broken out into utility function actually, which is what we need to do anyways. So with this actually, what I'm going to do is leave it here Okay, and then we're going to pick it up with making our utility functions to create the user. Okay, so BRB.